Stay frosty and head over to ezmutt.com for the cheapest mutt coins on the market. When I say cheapest, I mean it. We're talking 1 million coins for around 45 bucks. Use code DIRECTOR for 8% off. Kia ora, brothers. What's up? It's the Director. Chargers fans, you guys ready to talk a little bit of draft today? I want to go over some of the best prospects in the first round that I think most Chargers fans should know as we wind down the 2020 season. 2021 is among us. I have a feeling the Chargers fans should be really excited about the upcoming season because we got our franchise quarterback in Justin Herbert. We got a lot of good pieces on this team. We just need to start building around him and filling the holes that we have on this team because there is massive potential behind Justin Herbert, behind perhaps a new head coach, for the Chargers to make it into the playoffs in 2021. It all really does start with the draft in April. So today I kind of want to go over some of the first round prospects you guys should be paying attention to, but there are names on here that I want to make sure Chargers fans are aware of. And as well, I do want to start a conversation in the comment section below because honestly, like, I've been doing a lot of research on these guys, but I like us collectively as a fan base as well. There's a lot of knowledge to be found with all the Chargers fans combined. So I want to start that conversation in the comments section. You guys like really rooting for a guy in the first round, really rooting maybe to trade down, maybe some guys that other people aren't really considering in the first round given our draft position and stuff like that. So I want to hear your guys' opinions on this one the most, but these are the names that I do think Chargers fans should be paying attention to in the first round given where we're drafting and the positions that we're going to need going into April. So before we do jump into all that fun stuff, guys, as one of the final reminders this year, because I'm pulling the winner tomorrow, I am giving away this Derwin James signed and authenticated jersey. This thing is hot and it's super easy to enter. All you guys got to do is check out the link in the description and follow the instructions there. Just make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Only subs can win. So this is a way of me saying thank you as well as Merry Christmas. Also, the Join My Crew campaign is going on right now. The live streams have been absolutely awesome, guys. We're getting into draft season here really soon. I want to do a lot of mock drafts live with you guys on stream. So don't worry, the live streams and stuff like that will continue on a weekly basis. If you guys do want to join my crew, you can get benefits like custom emotes, members only chat, and getting your names in the end credits of my videos. It's a great way to support me and support the channel. Guys, thank you so much for taking this journey with me so far. Well, guys, let's get into this one. Before we do, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this channel. Guys, we are really close to 25,000 subs. What a milestone that would be to close out 2020. Can we do it? Help us get to 25,000 subs, man. That would make me super happy going into the new year. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into this video. Lights, camera, action. First round 2021 draft prospects that I think all Chargers fans should know. Again, guys, as a reminder, please leave your comments in the comment section below as we're going through this. I want to know the guys that you're really rooting for, as well as maybe the guys that people aren't paying attention to that we could snag in the first round. As a reminder, here's where the Chargers currently stand as far as draft order. With the win over the Raiders, we do have the number 9 pick in the draft upcoming this season with a record of 5-9. Some people are really thinking that we're going to beat the Broncos on Sunday, which could cause us to fall a little bit more. Honestly, the record thing in the top 10 is kind of ridiculous this season. You guys have to remember at 5-11 last year, we held the 6th spot. And nowadays, anything could really happen. I do think the Chargers could end the year with a record of like 6-10 or maybe even 7-9. And honestly, I do think the Chargers will fall somewhere between pick 6 and pick 12. So keep that in mind as we're going through this. But right now, you can just assume that the Chargers hold the number 9 pick going into next year, even though that could change. So there's a lot of options coming into this draft, guys. I think a lot of people would agree that the 2021 draft is kind of being labeled the quarterback draft because there is a ton of quarterback talent to be found in the draft this year. Trevor Lawrence, obviously Justin Fields. We'll go down a little bit further. Guys like Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, and even Kyle Trask, who should be down here a little bit further, are players that teams are really, really high on. So there is a reason to believe that the 2021 season may hold the most trades that we've seen in a long time because a lot of teams are going to be wanting to jump up and grab their quarterbacks of the future. And guys, there's a lot of teams that could potentially move up into the Chargers spot as well, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. In this video, I mainly want to focus on the players that you guys should probably pay attention to coming into the 2021 draft. So the first guy I do want to point out, even though he's, ranked right now as far as prospects to number 2 talent, is Penei Sewell. Now, I know a lot of Chargers fans really hope that we land Penei Sewell, and honestly, I'm not going to completely write it off. But at this point, Penei Sewell, he's the best offensive lineman we've seen in maybe a decade. He's definitely going to be a Pro Bowl caliber talent immediately coming into the draft. And of course, people know him because he did block for Justin Herbert during his collegiate career. And honestly, he's very, very good. So I'm going to point him out because I think there's a small chance the Chargers try and trade up for him because of his history with Justin Herbert. And honestly, it would probably cost a lot for the Chargers to trade up into a position. I would have to suspect it'd be probably like pick 3 or 4. They have to trade with like the Bengals or maybe even the Panthers or Falcons. And honestly, with such a quarterback rich class, I can see other teams offering way more for that pick than we could because they would likely go after a quarterback rather than an offensive lineman. But with that in mind, let's say a ton of teams trade into like the top 5, the top 6 in order to grab a quarterback. There is a slim chance that maybe Penei Sewell falls into our range if we have somewhere between like, let's say the 5th and 6th pick. But again, that's kind of slim. But there's always hope, so I will point him out. Let's move on to the next guy here on my list. Now, there are a lot of talented players here in the top 10 guys that you won't see me mention because I just don't realistically see the Chargers pursuing them. Obviously, guys like Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields off the table for the Chargers. We don't need a quarterback. Micah Parsons is a guy that I want to mention, but again, I feel like the Chargers are very rich at the position of linebacker this year. Although Micah Parsons is going to be a really, really good, NFL player coming out of college, this guy's going to be an absolute beast. I don't think the Chargers really see the linebacker position as a position of need right now, so I'm going to skip over him too. So keep that in mind with more guys as we go down this list. So next up, we got Ja'Marr Chase out of LSU. Now, this guy is really, really good, dude. Some people are saying that Ja'Marr Chase could end up being the next Dez Bryant, AJ Green. The guy's an absolute beast. And of course, I've heard Julio Jones comps and stuff out there, but I would say probably more accurately, he'll be another Dez Bryant. He's a really, really, really talented wide receiver coming out of LSU. And the Chargers do potentially have a needed wide receiver, but Chargers fans, some of them are really hesitant to say, okay, let's go ahead and pick him up if he does fall to us, let's say at like the 9th or 10th pick, because I do feel like the other positions the Chargers are at need of right now are probably a higher priority than wide receiver. Even if we do end up letting go of, let's say, like Mike Williams or something, even though he's already signed, there's a chance that maybe we trade him away or cut him. You never know. And if something does happen to Mike Williams, which I'll go on record and saying I hope we do keep him, if something does happen to him, you have to consider Ja'Marr Chase here, though, guys. He is that special of a talent. Justin Herbert's out there doing things no one ever think he could do, especially with the kind of wide receivers he had last Sunday. Tyron Johnson and Jalen Guyton. These guys are like 4th or 5th receivers at best in most people's depth charts. If we give him a guy like Ja'Marr Chase, the possibilities are endless with the potential these two can create, the chemistry they could create in the NFL. So keep that in mind before you completely write off Ja'Marr Chase. Imagine if Justin Herbert this year had a guy like Julio Jones on his team. How big of an impact could that have on his game? Keep that in mind. Next up is Gregory Rousseau. Now, this guy is huge, man. 6'5", 260 pounds. The guy's just a pure wrecking ball of quarterback destroying potential. This guy's going to be really good at the next level too, man. The Chargers definitely have a need at defensive end this year. I do feel like edge with maybe Melvin Ingram taking his exit this season. There is a huge vacancy that needs to be filled somewhere on this line with Gregory Rousseau. I think he would be an excellent pick by the Chargers. I also think that you have to consider how much the Chargers have invested in Joey Bosa. Now imagine paying that man over $100 million just to watch him get double teamed every single down. That's why you need another guy. You need another Melvin Ingram to come in here and cause havoc. I think Gregory Rousseau would be really good. Honestly, like, it's not like the flashiest pick for me. I really do like Rousseau. I need to go watch more tape and stuff on him. I'm going to be doing that, during the entire month of January and February and getting my own personal opinion from what my eyes tell me. But for right now, from what I've seen, he looks really good. I wouldn't be upset if the Chargers picked him up. It would unleash the potential of Joey Bosa, and then we would have that replacement for Melvin Ingram on the other side of the line. Now, here's where things get interesting because I do see these next 3 players as a very high probability of the Chargers picking up: Patrick Surtain, Caleb Farley, and Kyle Pitts. Let's start here with Patrick Surtain. Now, this is the son of legendary Patrick Surtain from back in the day, I think with the Miami Dolphins. He was one of the best cornerbacks that have ever played the game, and yes, his son is playing at an exceptional level as well. He really has has been one of the best players in Alabama this year, and that honestly does speak volumes. Patrick Surtain, he's a very important piece that I think fits the Chargers for a couple of different reasons. One, he's 6'1". I would say a lot of people are comparing him to like a Jalen Ramsey. Very tall, very lengthy, physical cornerback that I think could play outside, inside, wherever you ask him to. But I do think the Chargers have a huge need at cornerback coming into this draft. And honestly, based on where he should land, I mean, this is the player like prospect rankings, guys. Obviously, this isn't the order that we think they're going to be drafted. If I had to guess, Patrick Surtain would obviously be the first cornerback off the board, but with the way that everything's shaking out with the quarterbacks and offensive linemen, Surtain could definitely fall into like the bottom or the top 10 or even into the top 15. So I don't know, man. I think there's a huge possibility that Surtain gets picked up by the Chargers, and honestly, this would be one of my favorite picks for the Bolts if we decided to stay put and not trade down. We have a huge need at cornerback. He would be an obvious, to me at least, he would be like a top 3 or top 4 pick if it wasn't for the huge amount of quarterbacks that we have this season. And I do think the Chargers would get a really nice value for him in the first round if we went from. So right now, me personally, Patrick Surtain II is definitely my favorite pick of the first round. Hopefully, I'm really hoping that if we stick to that pick, we're going to go ahead and pick Surtain. The Chargers secondary is very long in the tooth, very old players back there with Chris Harris Jr., Casey Hayward Jr. Those guys will probably not be in the team year after next. So we need some youth to come here in the secondary and start building a culture, rebuilding the Jack Boys for the 2022 season and beyond. So Patrick Surtain is going to be my favorite of the bunch so far. And then next up is Caleb Farley. Now, a lot of people see 1A, 1B with Surtain and Farley, and honestly, I don't really blame you. Both of them are very talented, and they both have pretty similar physical traits as well. Again, 6'2", lengthy, very physical cornerback. I think a lot of people will be very happy if we picked Caleb Farley if Patrick Surtain isn't there, and honestly, I'm one of those guys. I mean, honestly, we need so much help in that secondary. If you're talking about a first-round pick, I don't want to waste the potential of like a top 10, top 15 pick. A guy like Caleb Farley or Patrick Surtain would definitely make me feel better, you know, about our cornerback situation going into the future. So I really like this prospect. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section. Would you guys be cool with Caleb Farley if Patrick Surtain is unavailable? Okay, so this next player is super controversial for a lot of Chargers fans. I think it's just because of the position and not because of the talent. We're going to talk about this guy, Kyle Pitts. All right, the Chargers have a potential need at tight end going into the 2021 draft because we don't know if we're going to keep Hunter Henry yet. And Kyle Pitts is looking like the next big deal in the NFL. People are calling him the next Darren Waller, maybe better than Darren Waller. They're talking about George Kittle. They're talking about Travis Kelce, a very fast. He almost looks like a 6'5" wide receiver playing the tight end position. I would almost even compare him to like an Evan Ingram if Ingram was bigger and, you know, really lived up to his potential, his size, and his speed. I don't know. It's really hard to make a comparison to Kyle Pitts. I would say that maybe Darren Waller is probably the best example I can come up with, but I do see maybe even a higher potential than Darren Waller and Kyle Pitts. So here's why it's controversial, though. The Chargers using a first-round pick on Kyle Pitts would be a very bold move. For any team to use a high first overall pick on a tight end is a hugely bold move because there's a couple reasons for this. The Chargers could elect not to even have to worry about the tight end position by re-signing Hunter Henry. And honestly, that's kind of what I hope we do. I think Hunter Henry needs to stay on this team, give Justin Herbert some consistency. But on the other hand, Kyle Pitts, man, he could be the kind of game changer we were talking about, you know, similarly to Jamar Chase. Like, you give Justin Herbert Kyle Pitts, you got to wonder what the potential is there, right? So it does intrigue me a little bit. Me personally, if Kyle Pitts is sitting there and Patrick Surtain or Caleb Farley are all there, you know, around the same spot where we're drafting, I still would want to go Patrick Surtain or Caleb Farley, me personally. But Kyle Pitts, he has my attention, Chargers fans. It's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to write him off anymore. I used to quite a bit, but the more I look into Kyle Pitts, I see the potential and the dangerous, you know, chemistry that he could have with Justin Herbert if we do decide to select him. But keep in mind that tight ends do tend to take more time to develop, so he wouldn't be an immediate contributor. He could definitely be, but more than likely because of his position, it may take a couple of seasons for him to get his legs underneath him. A lot like we've seen with, you know, TJ Hawkinson and stuff like that. But still, keep it in mind. It's something the Chargers could consider. Some Chargers fans are for it. Some Chargers fans are against it. Just kind of let me know in the comments what you guys think. Next up is Jalen Waddle. All right, man. We're talking Alabama receivers. They looked pretty good coming out of college very recently. Jerry Jeudy's absolutely lighting it up with the Denver Broncos. If the Chargers decide to trade down, there's a scenario where maybe we get like a top, you know, maybe just out of the top 15 or something like that. Jalen Waddle's probably going to be available to us. I think he's dealing with some sort of injury problem right now. So there is a danger there. But Waddle, man, is it Waddle or Waddle? You guys let me know. This guy's a super fast wide receiver, dude. You're talking speed. You're talking the kind of guy that you want to get separation with. He's been very, very good for the last few seasons in Alabama. And I do think that the Chargers would consider him, maybe even if we do have Mike Williams on the team, just to kind of give him some competition, maybe kind of feel out the future wide receiver for this team. I mean, at that point, if we had Mike Williams and Jalen Waddle and Keenan Allen, I mean, we'd be very, very good at the wide receiver for a long time. But Waddle does offer that speed that I think could help Justin Herbert really expand the field, really stretch the field out, get more, passes off to Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, but also take advantage of his big arm. Like all of a sudden, we can start hitting those 50-60 bombs maybe a little bit more consistently with the kind of route running we've seen out of Jalen Waddle. He'll probably get open down the stretch a little bit more often than guys like Jalen Guyton and Tyron Johnson, and probably take advantage of Justin Herbert's big arm in that way, more long 50-yard touchdowns, which that's been kind of Justin Herbert's trademark this year. So I like Jalen Waddle, man. Looks pretty good to me. I wouldn't be upset with the pick if we trade down. Obviously, if we're in the top 10 or near the top 10, I would definitely go with Jamar Chase over him. Okay, guys, a couple more. I know this is going to be a bit of a longer video. That's totally fine with me. Devonta Smith is definitely someone you have to consider. Kwity Paye is another one that Chargers fans are super excited about that possibly does land in our lap, even if we do trade down. Kwity Paye is kind of like one of those, I mean, these terms get thrown around so frequently when it comes to draft prospects, but like, he's a physical freak of nature. Like, he shouldn't move as fast as he does for his size. He's 6'4", 277 pounds, and the guy moves around like he's half that size. He's a very, very talented draft prospect. I think this website actually was comparing him to Ezekiel Ansah back in his heyday. Honestly, if the Chargers had that in combination with Joey Bosa, again, it's the name of the game to me. Yes, generating pressure, but also free Bosa. How much capital we have in Bosa, I don't want him getting double teamed every game. I want guys like Kwity Paye to command some attention on the other side of the line to free it up. And honestly, the Chargers 4-3 scheme, which they've really been sticking on to, they've only got the couple of elite pass rushers, maybe a little bit of Jerry Tillery on the side and stuff like that, a little bit of Uchenna Nwosu, but it really did come down to Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram in the past. I think they're going to go with that formula in the future, and for that formula to work, you need a guy like Kwity Paye on the opposite of Joey Bosa. We'll go through a couple more here though, guys. A lot of these next names are basically if the Chargers do trade down. Okay, if we get down into the 20s or the high teens, maybe even to the mid 20s and stuff like that, these are the kind of players to kind of look out for. Rashad Bateman, this guy compared to Justin Jefferson, I think on this website, he'd be a very good physical fast target as well. He's 6'1", 210 pounds. Eric Stokes, I like quite a bit too, out of Georgia. The guy's an outside corner, very, very good outside corner. He does have some issues that they do list here as well, but I do like the length. I do like the speed. What I really like about the cornerbacks in this class in the first round is the size too. We're talking outside cornerbacks. That's something that you really need in the AFC West. We're going up against some pretty serious receivers and tight ends. You guys got to remember, we have to go up against Darren Waller. We got to go up against Travis Kelce, Noah Fant. You probably want to put a guy like either Derwin James or Eric Stokes or one of these taller cornerbacks in coverage against them, and these are guys that we play every single year, twice a year. That's 6 games out of our season. I think a guy like Eric Stokes could definitely help the Chargers out, so he's one that I will point out. He's pretty good. He needs some work. He's a little bit more raw, but I like what he offers on the outside. I like Jalen Mayfield quite a bit. This is where we're getting into okay, Jalen Mayfield, Wyatt Davis, who I actually like quite a bit as an interior offensive lineman, and Samuel Cosmi. Now, all of these guys have potential. I think they're a little bit rawer. Samuel Cosmi's a huge dude, 6'7". He's only 300 pounds, so he does look a little lanky, but at the same time, you got a guy out there the same size as Justin Herbert blocking for him, on his left or right side, which I do think is a huge need for this team. And this is finally where you're seeing, okay, the value is there. If I pick up Jalen Mayfield at 22 or Samuel Cosmi at 23, 24, I feel good about that. And there's a lot of potential for all of these guys. You never know how it's going to pan out with offensive linemen. They're probably the shakiest, position in the league to draft, but I like my odds, taking a Cosmi or taking a Mayfield somewhere around this position. So those are names to pay attention to as well. And then finally, the last couple guys at the clear end of the first round, if somehow we get 2 first-round picks or something like that, I really do like Rashawn Slater. He's definitely been climbing draft boards in the past couple of weeks for a good reason. 6'4", 315. He's probably more I wouldn't know if he's more developmental or if he's more solid. He just needs to clean up his game just a little bit, but he's been climbing, and I kind of like him, man. I think, again, offensive line, if we're picking a little bit lower, this is where we're going to start finding valued offensive linemen. I fully expect the Chargers to go offensive linemen if we do trade this low. If we're anywhere like in the top 20, I still expect maybe a cornerback, maybe a wide receiver, maybe even tight end. Kyle Pitts, you never know. I'm really hoping for cornerback. I'm really hoping for offensive line. Those are probably my two biggest ones, but I get it if we decide to go wide receiver, maybe even tight end. Edge as well, I would say, is in my top 3 too. Kwity Paye, Gregory Rousseau, I would definitely be happy with them as well. So again, a bit of a longer video today. It's been kind of a weird week, guys. I got family, leaving for the holidays. We had a lot of stuff to get ready for that. So I did want to give you guys an extra long video today, but I want to know mainly what you guys are thinking. Again, I'm kind of made this video to start a conversation. What do you think of the names that I went through on this video for the first round for the Chargers? I think pretty much everyone that I have my eye on for the first round, I kind of went over. Christian Darrisaw here too. I forgot to mention him. Maybe Jalen. Like these guys here, offensive linemen, cornerbacks, if they're a position of need, pay attention to them. But at the same time, I just want to point out the guys that I have my eye on so I can spark a conversation with you guys to see who you have your eye on. Who are you really high on? There might be some guys here that are listed a little bit lower that you're a lot higher on. Maybe some guys are listed higher that you're definitely not sold on. Maybe we should pass on. So this is really what this video is constructed to do. So please leave your feedback in the comments section below. Let me know what you guys think. I'm watching tape. I'm starting the process for all of the off-season, draft videos and stuff like that. And it should be a really good time. And heads up to everybody too. I do want to do my first mock draft live here very soon. I don't know if it'll be this week or next week, but keep in mind that's something that I want to kind of prepare for. It'll be very raw, more of a learning experience, but we're kind of getting to that season as the 2020 year starts to wind down. Well, guys, thank you so much for all your support. If you like this content, hit us up with a like and sub on your way out. Make sure to hit the description if you want a chance to win that Derwin James jersey or perhaps even join my crew. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. We'll see you next time. And as always, bolt up, Merry Christmas, and stay frosty.